When you've been as successful as Albert Gasparian has been at Golden West, sometimes, you know, we go a couple of years without bringing him back in. He's been a four-time National Coach of the Year, four-time California Coach of the Year. I don't know how many times he's won Coach of the Year honors, but nationally, his program has become renowned as one of the best in the junior college ranks, and it's not just every now and then, it is every year that Golden West makes a run at a state championship. And they are doing it again. It's coming up this weekend, and of course, he doesn't have to go far to find talent. Most of his players on the roster are Orange County products, and he brings in a couple of them tonight from his unbeaten Golden West Rustlers, top seed, top team in the state. Two of them joining us in the first segment. Julie Renfro, sophomore out of Marina High School. She was, of course, the outside hitter on this team and knows a little bit about winning. In fact, she's never won a never lost a best-of-5 match at Golden West, but that's not unlike just about everybody who goes to Golden West. Natalie Snowden is also very comfortable winning out of Fountain Valley. The freshman is also an outside hitter on this team, and they are, as we said, just two of the Orange County products. Marissa Cothran will join us in the second half. She's, of course, out of Newport Harbor, and also Lori Dadlow out of Huntington Beach, a sophomore. They'll be joining us in the second half hour as we take a look, preview the upcoming state championships. That'll be going on up in Pasadena this weekend. But Coach, let's just start with ho-hum. You rolled through another season, and I know you give a lot of credit to the kind of players that you're able to get, and they come to you pretty good. But when you reel off 61 straight best-of-5 match victories, when you haven't lost since 1997, really, in a way, we almost just forget about you until this time of year. We expect you to be there.
And that happens a lot, but it's been a surprise this year. I mean, we've played great as a team, and we lost an awful lot of talent from last year's team. And our freshmen have come in, and it's predominantly freshmen, but with a couple good senior or sophomore leaders, they've done a great job.
Well, we've made them sit here this long. We're going to make them sit here for a couple of minutes more. We're going to hop to a break, pay some bills, and when we come back, we'll be joined. We'll actually let them talk as we continue on with a preview of this weekend's state Community College Volleyball Championships. It'll be going up at Pasadena. We'll have more details on it as we go here on Sports Talk. Valley.
Our philosophy is always the same. We worry about our side of the court, and if we do the things that we do well, our strength is our balance. We don't have a superstar, but we don't have any weaknesses. And so we're like the tortoise versus the hare, and so far the tortoise has won.
Well, I think they're in for a big shock, because they're undefeated as of now, and they don't know they're in our conference is the toughest conference too. And so I think they think number 3, or 4 in our conference, it should be an easy win, but I think we're going to come out there and shock them.
They were not talking about their conference foes. They were not talking about Golden West. They were talking about the team that they will meet in the opening round of the state tournament. Coach, though, that is a sign of how strong your conference is, how strong volleyball is in this area, that the number 3 team from your league is joining you in the state tournament.
Yeah, that's great. This conference is the toughest in the state. The last 2 years, Saddleback was ranked 2nd. We actually played Saddleback in the finals last year and beat them in the finals for the 6th time over the season. And so, I mean, it's true. And before that, Fullerton actually was a real strong team, and we played them in the finals about 3-4 years ago. So.
Well, they've made winning the Orange Empire Conference just kind of old hat. I don't know when was the last time you didn't win the conference? Do you remember?
We've had co-champs a couple times. I think it's been like 13 years.
Wow. It's probably in here somewhere, but it's one of those resumes when it comes down to coaching and programs that it kind of becomes at some point you get the message. As we said, 61 consecutive matches. But you look at the rundown, they've lost just 2 in the last 4 years and have won 91% of their matches in Albert Gasparian's record here, run here as the head coach of the women's program at Golden West. You see the state champions. 93-98 is the run they're on now. He's also won 4 other state championships, the first one back in 84, 88, 90, 91, and those that you see there. The string of OEC championships goes back to 1988. I guess we did look it up. And you don't do it without great players, and here are 2 of them, one sophomore, one freshman. Tell me a little bit about these 2 ladies.
They're both great players. Julie actually was a middle blocker her whole life up until this year, and has just, we decided to make that decision, both of us together, this last spring. And, you know, just I think it took her until the beginning of the season to really feel comfortable at that spot, and she's just done a tremendous job. Was co-MVP of the conference and has just really been a leader on the court. Lori, who you'll meet in a while, has been hurt and missed part of the season, and I think she's really stepped up and done a great job. And you know, she had tore ACL her senior year of high school. Is basically the only way we got her, and she's just really come back strong this year. I think she's back to her old self and having a great year. Natalie, had shoulder surgery last spring. It's the only way we really, it's either bad grades or an injury is how we get there. But
these are all injuries then, right?
Previous to when they came to Golden West also.
Okay.
But she started off slow, and we pretty much, she took it slow and I think our trainers did a real good job with her, and we were patient. And she's just, I think the last month has come back to the old Natalie and is playing great right now. It's perfect timing.
Julie, let's start with you talking a little about coming into this program. And I mean, everybody knows what kind of volleyball is played here. Right. You knew that coming in,
right.
And it hasn't let you down. It certainly has lived up to the billing, hasn't it?
Right, it definitely has. I mean, I was really local, and I knew all about Golden West. I knew about Albert, and so I mean, it was always a good place to be. So.
What has the experience been like now? Because you know what, I don't know if this part has dawned on you yet, but your Golden West experience is about to end. I mean, when we start to think about it, you got a weekend of it, just a few days.
Me and Lori were actually just talking about how the other night was our last, game playing it in our gym. But it'll be a good way to go out if we, take the championship again. So.
Well, next to you, as we mentioned, is another one of the success stories of this year, and you don't take a whole lot of time to reload right at this level. You've got to have great players step in, and with the shoulder injury, the Karch-Karai kind of injury, you have to come back from. That's not easy. That's really not easy to be playing. I mean, sometimes it takes a year and a half just to get the shoulder back strong.
No, it was difficult coming back in. It was a lot like mental though.
Yeah.
Like. It really sets you back mentally. You rethink about everything, and you wonder why am I still doing this? But in the end, it's good. Everything came out good.
The pain has worked out. The pain has given way to the joy of knowing you've just got a few matches left and you can keep the string going. Are you guys oblivious or aware of the pressure that comes with being the team that every time you step out on the court, people want to beat you really bad?
No, I think we're really aware of it, because you can tell by the other team, just by the way they present themselves and everything. They want to beat us, but I think we know too that we want to beat them pretty bad. So
pretty much every match is Super Bowl for the team you play.
Right, they're all ready to come out. I mean, screaming, yelling. So we just have to be ready to go.
In a sense, when you try to prepare, kind of maintain a tradition, one of the difficulties, especially at this level, is that you don't have players that you can hang on to for 4 years. And that's, I think, the amazing thing when I see junior college programs that develop these dynasties. A, you have the reputation, you become a bit of a magnet. B, you're in a terrific place, and obviously you've got a great program yourself. But boy, sometimes you just feel really lucky.
That's, yeah, I do. This year's been, I feel that way this year. We like I said earlier, there's 4 girls off last year's team that are starting at Division I colleges right now. And I think there's over the last 2 years there's 7 or 8 that are playing at a pretty high level, and just we lost some pretty significant players last year. Lori's actually the only starter back, and these guys have just gelled really quickly and done a great job.
Well, we're going to hop to a break. We're going to make them sit in the hot seat for a few more minutes before we bring in their willing replacements for the second half hour. We'll continue to ask them. When we come back, we'll find out a little bit more about some of the other teams in the event. Albert will help us kind of handicap the teams to beat outside of themselves. And, of course, we'll continue on a full hour. At the bottom of the half hour, we'll bring you up to date on the high school volleyball semifinal matchups in the state going on. You're watching a full hour of volleyball on Sports Talk. Julie Renfro, Natalie Snowden, and Coach Albert Gasparian of the Golden West Wrestlers, who are on their way again. 4-time National Coach of the Year, and has got the team gearing up for what would be an 11th state championship. And this weekend, the event, it actually has one of those fancy names, so I'm going to get it right here, because I'm sure you know it by heart. Because I'm sure you're driving. I'm sure as an entrant in this, you got a brand new Hyundai. the Hyundai State Championship at the PCC Otto Patterson Gym, which are far too many words. But actually, action starts Friday and runs through the championship on Sunday. Now, everybody plays concurrently, or there's concurrent matches the first couple of nights,
First 2 rounds are concurrent.
And then we'll head into the championship, which is actually Sunday afternoon?
Yep, Sunday at 5.
Now, tell me a little bit about, you're familiar with a good bit of the competition in this event.
Yeah, we played Irvine Valley's obviously in our conference, and Tom Peslacy, who's their coach, is a real good friend of mine, and you know, they played us real tough the second time around, and you know, they're strong, did a real good job. Santa Barbara, we played in the Santa Barbara tournament in the finals and beat them in 5, which Natalie, we had a few things go on interesting in that match. And then Cuesta, who's the 2nd seed now from our region, we played them in the semis of that and beat them in 3. So, and then Sacramento City from the north, we beat them in 4. So we've beaten 4 of the 7 teams.
This video you're watching is Irvine Valley, a little practice earlier today. Tell us a little bit about, you know, we talked a little bit about conference, about the level of play in your conference, and I think it kind of follows up with what they were talking about other teams gunning for you. You go into a tournament like this, and there's no lacking of knowing you guys can beat good teams. It's,
you know, the other thing that I think our conference is great. I mean, Cypress came in 2nd, and Mike Soiler, the coach there, has done a great job. Saddleback, Karen Jacobson, who used to play for me, actually will do a good job, and she'll get them back on the right track. Every team was pretty good this year, you know, so I think that helped us. The best thing for our season, though, is we go to a tournament in Arizona and play a lot of out-of-state teams, and played Miami. We didn't play Miami-Dade, but Southern Idaho and Salt Lake, and they're all foreigners. They're 26, 27, 28 years old, and I think that's really set the tone for us, where after seeing those people, you know, you just stay relaxed against the competition at home.
Well, you know, we can't really go too far past it without asking Natalie about her experience at Santa Barbara, because, you know, talking about being able to play with distractions, you had a little insect incident that was kind of not fun, huh?
Yeah, I had a bee on my shoulder, and I looked over at my shoulder, and I went to wipe it off, and it stuck in my hand, and then I pulled it out and like threw it, and then my hand started swelling up, and then I had to get subbed out.
Oh, how long did you play before you subbed out, though?
I played two and a half games or something like that, and then I came back in the 5th game because I iced it and it went down. So.
Well.
We were up 2-0. We beat them pretty easily. I think it was 15-4, 15-3. In the 3rd game, she started acting kind of weird. I, being the observant coach, just had no idea what was going on in them. And it was kind of traumatic.
Well, you just never know what's going to happen, and they went on to win. We're going to hop to a break. When we come back, we'll say goodbye to these 2 young ladies and then turn it around. You're watching Sports Talk. Welcome back. We're with Golden West, and we've lost track of the last time they lost a best-of-5 match, and Coach Kasparian's got them gearing in on another state championship this weekend. We talked a little bit about the competition, some of the other teams that are going to be there. Who do you open up with?
Butte College, who was an upset winner from up there, and we don't know a whole lot. That scares me, always scares me when I haven't seen the other team. But you know, they were about the 12th seed and knocked off the 4th or 5th seed, and you know, got in there.
Hyundai State Championships go on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and of course it's up in Pasadena, and you can find out. We will keep you posted on the action if you can't make it up there. In this particular half hour, we've been joined by Julie Renfro and Natalie Snowden, who, of course, 2 of the Orange County products, and we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but you usually don't have to go far for your recruiting. You occasionally wind up with somebody that's not necessarily from Orange County. You have 1 or 2 this year.
We have a girl, Rebecca Larson, who is from Iowa, who decided to move out to California, and she's been a great surprise. She's a real strong, physical kid, and is getting better and better. Is a little bit timid and kind of coming out of her shell, which this whole team is at the right time.
Well, I was going to say, you guys pretty much pride yourself in Orange County in putting it in people's faces, don't you? I mean, it's a physical, growing up playing beach, playing club. That's kind of the, you know, everybody knows you play a team from down here, a women's team. Even in high school, you better be ready physically.
Right, definitely.
I mean, she's just saying, yeah, no kidding. You're exactly right. Now, tell me a little bit about the personality of this particular team. You know, we mentioned a little bit about how sometimes there'll be young players coming in. One of them, Grace Boyd, who you played with in high school a little bit, she came in as a freshman and was able to be a force. How nice was that?
Great. I mean, she came and she's been working really hard and gotten a lot better, and she's doing great for us. So.
Is there, you know, you guys play against each other sometimes you play club.
Right.
And when you got here, how many of the players were you really familiar with, being that everybody kind of played in the same area? And had you really played alongside many of your teammates before you got together with them the last 2 years?
There was a couple that I've played with, but a lot of them I knew about. I mean, playing real locally, playing against each other mostly. Like, you know, high schools, we're all from like basically around the same area, so that's.
Now, Natalie, in preparation, I mean, you've got going in, this will be your first state tournament, but do you really feel that way anymore? I mean, do you feel like a freshman anymore this deep into it?
No, I don't really feel like a freshman anymore. I think we're all pretty equal out there. There doesn't seem to be like that mentality where there's older kids, you know, because we're about the same age,
right.
So it's not that difficult.
And they're dominant, and they have been, they will continue to be, I'm guessing, this weekend. We're going to let Julie and Natalie step aside, give way to Marissa Cothran and Lori Dadlow, and Coach Gasparian will stick around. We'll also bring you up to date on the high school volleyball action. We got results of Newport Harbor and the rest, and several of the others. Hopefully we've got them all in, but you got to stick around a couple of minutes for that, ladies. Thanks for joining us. Don't go too far. You can heckle your teammates. We'll be back with more Orange County Sports Talk, OCN Sports Talk, Golden West Volleyball tonight. Don't go away. Well, watching closely the Newport Harbor score, of course she knew it apparently already, was Marissa Cothran. She's sitting on the outside, freshman from Golden West, and one of the Wiley veterans, Lori Dadlow, also from Huntington Beach, and she's a veteran of Golden West's program as well. They join us in this half hour, along with Coach Albert Gasparian, to talk about the run at what will be, hopefully for them, another state championship, but there's work to do, and with the old proverbial one match at a time. The reality is, you're probably every match you take the court, you're the team to beat.
That's, hopefully that's it. And we take things one match at a time, and we don't ever look ahead and always respect our opponent. And we're playing our best volleyball this season right now, which is good.
I was going to say, in a long year, sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes, and if you've had a couple of injuries earlier in the year and in the past, and sometimes those come back to creep up on you at this time. But you feel fortunate in that way that the girls are pretty healthy right now.
It is. This is. It's been a funny year where we've had a ton of adversity, little things, and Marissa missed a couple matches being sick, got in a car accident in front of one, and missed the first game or two, and just Lori's missed some matches. Natalie, we've had a bunch of different lineups, and we have probably the best depth we've ever had, and just whoever's gone in there has done a great job and stepped up and rose to the occasion.
Well, we're going to turn the microphones to these two young ladies when we come back from a break as we continue on with the Golden West Rustlers. They're just days away from beginning another run at what they hope will be another state championship for Coach Albert Gasparian's bunch. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Back with the Golden West Rustlers, Albert Gasparian, in 17 years, 4 times National Coach of the Year. Of course, he's coached at a lot of different levels. Ran the men's program there for a little while. He's the athletic director now, so he's got all those extra burdens. Has had his hand in the sand and the professional ranks. Just about every type of volleyball I think you've probably coached out there. And it's interesting now, the whole climate. You said you saw Misty May tonight over at the Newport Harbor match there, and the women, the whole preparing for the Olympics thing is different now. I don't even think anybody really understands it anymore. The sport's kind of weird in that way. Once it leaves the collegiate ranks, we don't know what to expect.
And I'd say that's the downfall of the sport. Yeah. They've done a horrible job at the national level of promoting it and running the national team correctly. And I was fortunate for 6 years to work with them during the summers or during the springs and the summers, and you know, they just don't do a very good job of publicizing it and taking the college players and making them superstars, which they could.
Wow, and what great players that you've had some terrific ones. And tell me about these two here specifically as their specific roles on this team.
Marissa, who came in as a freshman, was from Newport Harbor, won a state championship last year, Division I. She's excited her Sailors won tonight. Didn't get to set on that team. She's our setter, and Jen Carey, who was the setter, is starting at the University of Hawaii. I think they're ranked 3 or 4 in the country, and she played opposite the setter there. And you know, I think has just grown into the role and has done a great job, and you know, battled pretty tough, had some competition, and earned the spot, and is just, I think right now, just kind of feeling comfortable and running the show, and is actually playing like a true setter, which, I mean, she's improved tremendously, and still has a lot of room that she's a good player.
And this one here, you told us a little bit about what she's overcome.
She's the real special kid. I mean, she's, in the whole time I've been there, she's one of a kind. That she's as tough as they get, and there's 95% of the players that play volleyball would have chucked it in the season and wouldn't have played. And she's, you know, had some bad luck, had some injuries, and is toughed it out, and will be ready to go this weekend.
Now, how are you feeling?
Good, great.
You ready to give it another run?
Ready to go.
Now you head into one of these, you know, weekend events. Fitness is important when you get into a tournament like this,
Absolutely.
and you've been through a few of them. What do you tell the other? What do you guys talk about as far as being prepared for an event like this? No late nights leading up to Friday, I guess.
No way. We're all good right now, all the time actually. But physically and mentally, we have to prepare. Just stay healthy, both like nutrition, workout. Mentally, just prepare, always expect a good team on the other side, and never know what the outcome is going to be until give it your all.
When, you know, we talk about what gets you through those times, I mean, in the first segment, Natalie mentioned that, you know, you have those doubts when you're hurt. You know, when do I chuck it? I mean, is it worth it? Any of that hit you, and what got you through that?
Oh yeah, I've been there. I've had many injuries. I mean, bad luck, injuries. Couple of different things, but yeah, it comes across your mind. It's definitely a mental thing that you have to overcome. If you're coming back from injury, you don't want to, in the back of your mind, thinking, am I going to hurt it more? Am I going to hurt it more? You just have to pretty much just trust your body and go out there and play, and just finally overcome it.
What is it like when you're out there on the court as a part of this team, when you look across the net, pretty good players, but you know, they know?
Yeah.
How good you guys are.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but you still don't know. You do know, but you don't know. It sounds dumb how I just said that, but
I think we know what you mean.
Yeah. In the back, I mean, you still have to go out there and play your hardest, give it your all, and never expect to win. But still, you have a good feeling. I mean, when you're out there, once the game goes, first few points, you know, you have the feeling how it's going to come out.
And Marissa, I mean, Coach mentioned how you jumped into a pretty important role. My guess is, with the great traditions at your high school, just terrific players. You mentioned Jen Carey, we mentioned Misty, you know, all the great players over the years there. You kind of been waiting for this opportunity, really, in a way, to get to set somewhere and kind of have that spotlight too.
Yeah, it's a lot different. You have a totally different role, and it's weird to actually be there and be in that role and be a starting setter and having fun and leading a team to a championship.
Well, they're hoping that's what happens this weekend. They've got a little work left to do, and we'll continue on with Marissa, Lori, and Albert Gasparian as the Golden West wrestlers have their sights set. We'll be back to talk more about the event coming up this weekend at Pasadena City College, Friday, Saturday, and they intend to still be very active on Sunday. Don't go away, you're watching Sports Talk. Golden West wrestlers have their sights set on what they hope will be another state volleyball championship. Albert Gasparian has got this team very healthy, playing strong, heading into the championships that begin this weekend at Pasadena City College. We continue on with two of the Orange County ladies, and as you look at the roster, just about everybody is from Orange County, Coach. And we mentioned this earlier. We mentioned the girls that are from out of the county, but on your roster, mention some of the other girls that are from in the county that we haven't talked about tonight.
We have Reagan Rewerts, who's from Canyon High School. Lori, obviously. Then Shannon Yarborough and Grace Boydern aren't here, also from Marina. Or Alyssa Moss and Ashley Ferris, both from Huntington Beach High School. And our one other non-Orange County player, Christina Piccarelli, who's from St. Joseph's in Lakewood, who's also pretty close.
So she knows, and she's probably come down here and played with these ladies club and what have you in the past. We were talking just before we went to break with Marissa about the tradition of setters and great players at Newport Harbor. I mean, you guys aren't the only school that produces great players, but certainly you develop that kind of attitude. Mm-hmm. You develop that expectation of winning, really, don't you?
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I came to play here is I wanted to win. I didn't want to be in a program that wasn't going to win. And I love winning, and I'm so excited for this weekend to play in that tournament and just...
I mentioned, I asked Lori this question, and you know this feeling too. What do you do? I mean, do you guys like have stare downs, or you know, what happens? Is it like a boxing match sometimes when you go up against teams that so badly want to try to get into your head and let you know that we can beat you today, we can beat you today? Because from what I've seen, there aren't many games, many matches where you guys kind of let your hand off the pulse. You pretty much get a team down and keep them down. Mm-hmm. How do you do that as a team? I mean, everybody has stretches. It's hard to go 2 or 3 years. It's hard to go a whole year without losing a best-of-5 match.
Yeah. Albert reminds us a lot of how teams look at us and that we're carrying a tradition, and it's sometimes you don't realize that. Sometimes you don't realize that teams want to come out fired up just to beat you, and you have to realize that. That's very important, and it's just part of it. I mean, it's not like you guys haven't ever lost a match in your life before or haven't lost a game, so you know how that feels. And I know in some of those tournaments and the best of threes, things like that, you might drop one. What, with the old proverbial learning from your defeats, if you don't have many of those, what do you learn from? How do you get better?
I think practice.
Yeah.
I mean, we scrimmage inter-squad 6-on-6, and we have such a deep team that we're maybe the A team's losing a game. So we do lose. We lose in practice. But no, I think practice is a big stepping point for us.
Well, I hope everybody's ready because they've been practicing for you this weekend at the state championships, which are at Pasadena City. They are the technically called the Hyundai something state championships, and I'm sure the winning athletic director from the championship school will be driving a new Hyundai. Probably not.
We stopped to win the thing. But.
Well, the match, of course, the action begins on Friday evening, and we'll bring you results throughout the weekend. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we've still got our play of the day to come and a little more chatting to do with Golden West. We'll find out about some of their history here, and we'll bring you up to date on where some of Coach Kasparian's players are playing nowadays. You'll be impressed with the honor roll. Don't go away. You're watching Sports Talk. Our play of the day, we should call it the play of all the Orange County teams in the CIF, or rather the state semifinals tonight. Battling into the championship round, the St. Margaret's Tartans have some unfinished business. They are now 23-1 after their win over Central Valley Christian. They stepped up and finished the job tonight. They've moved on to Saturday, and that earns St. Margaret's our play of the day.
OCN Play of the Day, brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
I don't know if Albert Gasparian has track of the number of players you've got out there still playing, but you've put an awful lot of them in the Division I ranks, a few All-Americans, and a lot of them are still playing.
Before I do that, I left off Kinsey Ross, who is a freshman from Catella High School, who's probably the only player on the team that I'm afraid of, so I need to make sure I mention her name.
Big part of this team. Big part of this
team. She's a great kid, and I didn't mean to overlook her. But yeah, we've got some, like I mentioned, the players from last year. Charnette Fair, who I just talked to last night, probably going to be an all Big Ten selection at University of Minnesota, was leading the Big Ten in blocking for a while, was one of our middle blockers last year, and they're out here playing in the regional SC this weekend at USC. Becky Sidoti, who set for us 2 years ago, is setting at Arizona State. They're still in the tournament. Last year's setter, Carla Miali, is at Weber State, was freshman of the year in the, I think that's the Big Sky Conference.
Yeah, I think so.
Megan Kuhlbach, who was another middle blocker last year, is a starting middle blocker at St. Mary's. Laurel Kokoska, who was All-American for us last year, actually walked on at Cal and ended up starting at the end of the season.
Wow.
And Mariah Marquis, who won a national championship last year, outside hitter, and is redshirting at Long Beach State. And then I just watched them play. Jill Waltemeyer, who played the University of Cincinnati, another Marina graduate, playing there. So I probably left. Oh, then Annie Sand, who was a real big part of our team last year, had a real nice year at Concordia right down the street.
Wow. So, and it's awfully nice that you're able to also, that's another big part about coaching at this level that I'm guessing you really like.
That's the best part. I mean, the winning championships and all that other stuff is great, and it beats the alternative, which is not winning it. But getting them scholarships and seeing players go on and play is really the part that I find rewarding, and that's actually, to me, a bigger part of the whole program than, you know, whatever we do on the court, or not what we do on the court, but whether we win the championship or not. Just having them go on and play is, I think, great.
All right, now who's going on, Lori? What are you gonna be doing next?
I'm looking at a couple schools. I already taken one trip. I haven't made any commitments yet, but I'm gonna hold off, see how state tournament goes, and give it some time. I'm not in no hurry to make a decision.
You don't lose a bunch of them this year, right? You're playing a lot of freshmen.
We've got a lot of people back. Yeah, there's 10 out of those 12 players. There's 8 freshmen. You know, we're starting 4 freshmen at all times, and it's been good.
And we know Julie Renfro also told us that she's still biding her time. She's going to wait, make her right decision as well. And that's one of the nice things about coming out of a program like this. They'll have their choices. But first, they got some unfinished business. It's this weekend at Pasadena City College. The Golden West Wrestlers, one of 2 Orange County teams battling for a state championship. They would definitely fit the Davy and Goliath mold, though. Goliath is looking for their 11th in Albert Gasparian's reign. And we wish him the best of luck. Thanks you for joining us tonight on Sports Talk. Remember to keep it tuned here over the weekend. We'll bring you their results, and we wish you a lot of luck, Albert.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming in. Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm Brent Weber. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.